D for you folks. Now, we want to also trade it. So Tim Bigham, option strategist at Buy Alerts, is with us. And you're watching AMD. How would you go and approach an example trade here?
Yeah, I would probably be cautiously bullish to almost neutral as well here, Nicole. I think you alluded to that kind of washout low below the 80 level. Certainly, I think that will be the low for a while here as the overall market and AMD in particular kind of, had a huge sell-off. So I'm just looking for the stock to really kind of remain somewhat range-bound here. 95 now looks like pretty decent support on the chart. Certainly 107, the recent highs, some overhead resistance. Options implying about a 7% move on earnings here, which would put it somewhere up around that 107 level as well. So I'm just taking advantage of a big term structural vol edge, I think, by selling this week's 105 calls, by next week's 105 calls, paying right around 75 cents or so, give or take a few pennies. More importantly, able to sell about 120 IV, hedge it with around an 80 IV. So one of the steepest term structural volatility differentials we've seen in a while. And I think AMD, simply because it's come down so hard and they're still growing earnings, that combination of, a stock price at or near its yearly low and earnings continue to grow, give you some valuation finally on AMD. So not looking for any fireworks here, but just looking for perhaps kind of a relief rally that is not as bad as feared. Certainly, as you talked about, the chatter on, the look forward on tariffs, what sort of, clarity, if any, on business we have, I think will be the key here as much as the earnings. So guardedly bullish, but not overly so.
Yeah, so cautiously optimistic, as they say, here on this example trade. Thank you for that. And how are you feeling about the market overall? I mean, we snapped the winning streak, but we've certainly clawed our way back from the lows that we saw in early April. Some of your thoughts about where we could be headed to?
Yeah, I think as we get towards the end of earnings season, certainly NVIDIA, the last of the mega caps, left to report her. Earnings have been pretty decent overall, but the reaction certainly not as good as, previously. I think valuation's starting to get questioned too. So I think we're kind of remain in this range that we kind of were in for most of March on the S&P. 5,500 now support to the downside. We're kind of nearing that 5,750 or so, some upside resistance certainly. So I think we'll remain range bound with less volatility than we saw from a couple of weeks ago, certainly. And I think the market will just kind of grow in to, this level here until we get the Fed, moving probably out in July as far as, hinting at if they have a bigger rate cut lookout, then you might see the market rally. But if they kind of stay the course, I don't see the market really going anywhere here simply based on valuations and that nice bounce we had off that, 5,500 S&P low for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to scream big rate cut or anything because with the last we heard from Jay Powell, in fact, he wasn't implying a ton of rate cuts, that's for sure. And the market sold off. I mean, what are you expecting for tomorrow's action? Obviously, no one expects them to move on rates, but that language, are you preparing for a possible sell-off tomorrow, or what are you thinking for tomorrow?
I think it'll be nuanced, coming out of, Chairman Powell and the Fed here. I think anything will be tempered, to say the least here. So I think that's another reason the market may remain range-bound. They're kind of accepted the fact that rates are not going to come down as much, certainly as the administration had hoped for. But there will be rate cuts, and I think that 10-year yield kind of reflecting that, kind of stuck at that 4.25% give or take area here. So how the 10-year goes, I think, will dictate where stocks go as well here, simply because valuations still at extremes on stocks. That price to sales ratio, S&P 500, not too far off that 3 times multiple, which has signaled 2 big sell-offs in the past when it hit there, the richest it's ever been in its history.
Tim, it's great to see. As somebody who loves lemons, I think that's a great shirt, Tim. Tim Bigham,
Thank you.
option strategist, buy alerts. Thank you for being on with us today.